Now, beyond the issue of the authenticity of the archive being apprehended and known by the FBI a year before all these establishment outlets joined together to lie to the American people to manipulate the 2020 election, the IRS whistleblower also says that the Biden Justice Department, Merrick Garland and the rest, intervened and politically corrupted the investigation into Hunter Biden. Here you see CNN reporting on the allegations. In the headline, it says, whistleblowers say IRS recommended far more charges, including felonies, against Hunter Biden. Here's the body of the article, quote, two whistleblowers told Congress that IRS investigators recommended charging Hunter Biden with attempted tax evasion and other felonies, which are far more serious crimes than what the president's son has agreed to plead guilty to, according to transcripts of their private interviews with lawmakers. The IRS whistleblower said the recommendation called for Hunter Biden to be charged with tax evasion and filing a false tax return, both felonies, for 2014, 2018, and 2019. The IRS also recommended that prosecutors charge him with failing to pay taxes on time, a misdemeanor, for 2015, 16, 17, 18, and 19, according to the transcripts, which were released Thursday by House Republicans. It appears that this 11-count charging recommendation also had the backing of some Justice Department prosecutors, but not from more senior attorneys, according to documents that the whistleblower provided to House investigators. I think it's an important point. These are not just people coming forward anonymously or making claims. They have documentation to back up and substantiate every allegation that they're making. In a deal with prosecutors announced early this week, Hunter Biden is pleading guilty to just 2 tax misdemeanors. The allegations come from Gary Shapley, a 14-year IRS veteran who oversaw parts of the Hunter Biden criminal probe, and an unnamed IRS agent who was on the case nearly from its inception. Shapley approached Congress. Imagine the courage needed to do that, to come forward and stand opposed to the Biden government, knowing that the entire corporate media is against you, the government is against you, every major power center in Washington and in the United States is against you, and you put your name on this allegation, you risk your career as an IRS investigator to come forward with these explosive allegations. You have to really have the courage of your convictions to do that, knowing that the train that will be rolling on its tracks to roll over you, that you will unleash. Shapley approached Congress this year with information that he claimed showed political interference in the investigation. He and the entire IRS team were later removed from the probe. Quote, I am alleging with evidence that DOJ provided preferential treatment, slow-walked the investigation, and did nothing to avoid obvious conflicts of interest in this investigation, Shapley told lawmakers. David Weiss, the Trump-appointed U.S. attorney in Delaware who oversaw the Hunter Biden criminal probe, eventually reached a plea deal where the president's son will plead guilty to 2 misdemeanors for failing to pay taxes on time. The plea agreement will also resolve a separate felony gun charge if Hunter Biden abides by certain court-imposed conditions for a period of time. Hunter Biden isn't pleading guilty to any felonies, and he wasn't charged with any tax felonies. CNN reported that prosecutors are expected to recommend no jail time. He is scheduled to appear in federal court in Delaware on July 26. The DOJ probe into Hunter Biden was opened in November 2018 and was codenamed Sportsman. According to Shapley's testimony, federal investigators knew as early as June 2021 that there were potential venue-related issues with charging Hunter Biden in Delaware. Under federal law, charges must be brought in the jurisdiction where the alleged crimes occurred. If the potential charges couldn't be brought in Delaware, then Weiss would need help from his fellow U.S. attorneys. He looked to Washington, D.C., where some of Hunter Biden's tax returns were prepared, in the Central District of California, which includes the Los Angeles area where Hunter Biden lives. But Shapley told the committee that the U.S. attorneys in both districts wouldn't seek an indictment. A second whistleblower, an IRS case agent who also testified to the committee but hasn't been publicly identified, also told lawmakers that this is what happened. So there's corroboration not just from the documents but from a second whistleblower. He agreed that Weiss was, quote, told no when he tried to get the cooperation of the U.S. attorneys in D.C. and Los Angeles, who are Biden appointees. Hunter Biden's eventual plea agreement was filed in Weiss's jurisdiction in Delaware. Shapley contends in his interview that Attorney General Merrick Garland was not truthful when he told Congress that Weiss had full authority on the investigation. Shapley recounted a meeting on October 7, 2022, where, according to Shapley's notes memorializing the meeting, Weiss said, quote, he is not the deciding person on whether charges are filed against Hunter Biden. This undermines what Weiss and Garland have publicly said about Weiss's independence on the matter. Shapley also testified to committee investigators that it was during this October 2022 meeting that he learned for the first time that Weiss had requested to be named as special counsel but was denied. In testimony to Congress in March, Garland said Weiss was advised, quote, he is not to be denied anything he needs. Regarding the claims of political interference with the Hunter Biden criminal probe, Weiss told House Republicans in a recent letter that Garland granted him, quote, ultimate authority over this matter, including responsibility for deciding when, where, when, and whether to file charges. But after the transcripts were released Thursday, spokespeople for the U.S. Attorney's Office in D.C. and Los Angeles issued near identical statements, reiterating that Weiss, quote, was given full authority to bring charges in any jurisdiction he deemed appropriate. The DOJ echoed those comments in a statement saying Weiss, quote, needs no further approval for bringing charges whenever he wants. The whistleblowers also alleged that at multiple key junctures, investigators were thwarted in their efforts because prosecutors were concerned about interfering in the 2020 presidential election. In 2020, IRS investigators sought to conduct search warrants and take other overt steps, but according to Shapley, several weeks before the election in September 2020, a DOJ prosecutor questioned the optics of searching Hunter Biden's residence and Joe Biden's guest home. Later that year, other planned searches were delayed because then President Trump was refusing to concede and was continuing to contest the results. Now, if there's any truth to those allegations, and again, I think whistleblowers should come forward and put themselves in front of the freight train called the Biden White House and the U.S. government and the entire corporate media behind them, deserve a presumption of good faith and authenticity. They're putting their names on these allegations that could unravel their lives. And they don't just have assertions, they have documentation. And the problem here is that the U.S. media and the U.S. intelligence community has already demonstrated they're willing to lie to protect the Bidens from this kind of interrogation. Remember, this doesn't just involve Hunter Biden. It involves the extent to which Joe Biden was involved in the pursuit of these deals, whether he knew about these financial transactions and the tax evasion that was going along with it, and whether he in any way intervened or his underlings intervened to protect his son from the kind of apolitical investigation we were promised. Remember, Donald Trump, and in that case, we're told nobody is above the law. Every citizen is treated exactly the same. And now you have not partisan actors, but IRS whistleblowers who are saying that in this case, that is most definitely not what happened. Now, it isn't just that the FBI knew the laptop was authentic, and it's not just that the IRS agents and whistleblowers say that this case was overwhelmingly politicized to protect Hunter Biden by overriding recommendations to charge him with felony counts, but also Hunter Biden himself explicitly claimed that his father was heavily involved in these deals in China, and in fact, not only that, but was supporting his threats to Chinese associates to give him their money and answer their inquiries, otherwise Joe Biden would use his contacts and power to destroy them. From the New York Times this week, IRS agent told Congress of Hunter Biden invoking his father in a business deal. Quote, a whistleblower said the tax agency found a message from 2017 in which Hunter Biden pressured a Chinese business partner by saying he was with his father, who was then out of office. Maybe we can put these on the screen, this New York Times article. The lead IRS agent investigating whether Hunter Biden committed tax crimes told Congress his team uncovered evidence that Mr. Biden had invoked his father, who was then out of office, while pressing a potential Chinese business partner in 2017 to move ahead with a proposed energy deal, House Republicans said. In testimony made public on Thursday, Gary Shapley, an IRS agent since 2009, who supervised the tax agency's investigation into Hunter Biden, said his team used a search warrant to obtain a July 30th, 2017 WhatsApp message from Mr. Biden, Hunter Biden, to Henry Zhao, a Chinese businessman. In a summary of the message provided to the House Ways and Means Committee by Mr. Shapley, Mr. Biden, Hunter Biden, told Mr. Zhao that he was sitting with his father and that, quote, we would like to understand why the commitment made has not been fulfilled. Tell the director that I would like to resolve this now before it gets out of hand, and now means tonight, Hunter Biden wrote, referring to other participants in the proposed deal. And Z, if I get a call or text from anyone involved in this other than you, Zhang, or the chairman, I will make certain that between the man sitting next to me, meaning his father, and every person he knows, and my ability to forever hold a grudge, you will regret not following my direction. Taken at face value, the message would undercut President Biden's long-standing claims that he had nothing to do with his son's international business deals. Coming days after Hunter Biden agreed to plead guilty to 2 misdemeanor charges of failing to file his taxes on time in 2017 and 18, the release of the information underscores the determination of House Republicans to continue to try to tie his father to his business dealings and suggest that they were corrupt. What a bullshit narrative that is from the New York Times. Do you see how they try and say this is something the House Republicans are trying to do? This is something 2 IRS investigators have come forward in order to disclose at great personal peril to their careers and themselves. Yes, of course, House Democrats have no interest in these allegations. Exactly the same way that the corporate media had no interest at all in trying to get Joe Biden to answer these questions before the election. When one journalist tried, he was called a smear artist and a scumbag by Joe Biden. And a lot of people in the media united with Joe Biden to say that he was acting as a Russian agent by asking Joe Biden these questions. And then Joe Biden was allowed in those debates with Donald Trump to refuse to answer the questions all about these things that should have been asked before the election and would have been had the CIA not lied with the corporate media and saying this was Russian disinformation. So it's not House Republicans trying to tie Joe Biden to these deals. It's these IRS whistleblowers who have done so. Thanks for watching this clip from System Update. Catch our full shows for free, live weekdays at 7 p.m. Eastern on Rumble, and join our locals community at greenwald.locals.com for all of my written journalism, exclusive after-show Q&As, and more.